Yeah, buddy, what's going on, guys? This is Polo, and I've done this entirely too many times, so hopefully this will be my last take. So without further ado, let's get this fucking show on the road. Yeah! Anyways, this is going to be a two-part tutorial. First one, well, you're obviously watching the first part right now, is going to be the basics of video making. This will be on my channel, duh. And then part two, the advanced render settings, will be, of course, this portion is going to go over render settings, but the more advanced color corrections and blah 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 is going to be posted on youse.com. But don't, never fear, because there's a link at the bottom of this video or in the description. Some people call it a doobly-doo, but I think that's a dumb word. Okay, it is kind of fun to say. Anyways, but then there's also a reminder at the end of the video to go click over there. It's just one click away, and then I think you have to click one more time to start the video. No big deal. So yeah. Basic hardware that you're going to need. This is what I started my channel with. This is an HP laptop that I got for $200 on Black Friday. It's got a 2.3 gigahertz single core processor, 3 gigs of, I guess you could call it RAM. Not really sure, more like hamsters running on a wheel. But this is what got me going, so you don't need something too terribly impressive to render videos in Sony Vegas, which is what I use. That's what this tutorial will cover. But, and this is a big but, you will be rendering for days. So I would say absolute minimum that won't test your patience hardware wise. I would say 2.5 gigahertz processor, Intel or AMD, whatever tickles your fancy. And then a quad core, not quad core, but a dual core processor with 4 gigs of RAM. DDR2, DDR, whatever. Anyways, but this is what I have right now, which is a much more impressive machine than ye old laptop. And this is what I render with, and edit and game and everything else with. And this is a 6-core, what would be, hex core? Yeah, hex core, I don't know. That's not even important. But 6-core processor, 2.7 gigahertz, AMD, Phenom, something, random numbers, whatever. With 8 gigs of RAM. So, yeah, that definitely gets the job done. What took this computer nearly a day to do, this thing does in 33 minutes. So, yeah. Then, of course, Xbox 360. You need an HD monitor in order to view the HD gameplay from your PVR, so yeah, that's gonna, and the way the connections work, if you don't already have everything hooked up, is basically follow the color-coded plugins, but pretty much your, I think it's called composite, is gonna go from the back of ye old Xbox right here, and then that is gonna go in the back of this HD PVR. And then from the HD PVR, you see this massive cable right here. That goes into your old television. So that is how that works. And it's color coded, so it's not that complicated. But yeah, and then your USB 2.0 plug goes from right there to the back of your PC or Mac or laptop, or it's gonna make a joke. Forget it. I was gonna make a joke. Fuck it. Anyways, I was gonna say treehouse, but anyways. All right, so now we're going to get into the HD PVR settings. So I'll see you in a second. Yeah, buddy. All right, guys, we are back, and this is the PVR portion of the video. So I've already got that opened up, so I'm going to go ahead and click record video, and that's going to bring up my Arc Soft Capture module, and this is what it looks like. And let's see, starting from the top left going down, I'm going to show you all this stuff. This is my settings, this is what I use, and I'm going to throw out some information randomly, so here we go. And of course, the source is Hauppauge HD PVR. Video input YPRPB, audio input RCA back, PC audio 2-channel. You can, if you have the little blaster cable or whatever for surround sound, you can do 5.1 channels. but the 2-channel works just fine. It's what I use. Input resolution, it's skipping over these 2 buttons real fast. Input resolution 1280 by 720. Now that is going to be 720p, and if you are recording with the Hauppauge HD PVR, I recommend that you only use that, because the maximum, that is the absolute best resolution you can get. And I know some of you think, but 1080i. Well, the truth is 1080i stands for interlaced, and that is an older what am I thinking? An older format, I guess you could call it. And it is not exactly 1080i. What 1080p is better and has a higher quality, because the imagine it the entire picture being 720 lines across. Well, that's the P stands for progressive in 720p, so you see all 720 lines at one time. Like, you know, at any given time, you've got all of your video, all of your information right there in front of you in all of its high definition glory. But 1080i, it is indeed 1080 lines, which is more than 720 lines, of course. But the way interlace works is that it's two, like, imagine the lines going down your screen. It is split up into 2 fields. So, like, you know, you'll have one line is one field, and then the one below it is another field. So your 800 and your 1080 lines is actually split up into 2 fields, and you only see one of those fields at any given time, and it flashes back and forth really fast. And I know that doesn't really make a whole lot of sense, but that's how it works. So you only see 540 lines at any one time. So that's why 1080i is not as good as 720p. Plus, the file size is bigger, and it's just a waste of time. That's why 720p is the absolute best you can do, really, in any situation. 1080p takes some considerable hardware. So for the most part, Hauppauge HD PVR 720p, best way to go. All right, and now we're gonna go to my device settings. All right, now this, you know, it doesn't mean a whole lot. You can go mostly default. I just kind of adjusted things here because I really have no idea if this changes anything about the video. I've never, you know, changed these and looked and been like, that looks a lot better. But you know, our main color corrections we're gonna do is going to be in Sony Vegas, so don't even worry about this. And you could pause the video. You know, you can pause the video right there and look, but whatever. Anyways, video decoder, video standard, NTSC_M. And the reason you want that is because if you're in North America, that's what that's a North American decoder. Europe, it's going to be PAL-B. And I believe those are the only 2 that you have to worry about. Yeah, because North America uses NTSC, Europe uses PAL. I'm not sure who uses that, but I believe Japan uses NTSC also. I could be wrong, but it doesn't matter. Basically, if you're in North America, use that. If you're in Europe, use that. I mean, it doesn't make any difference, to be honest with you. I'm pretty sure. And then you can't really do anything about these. VCR input, output enable, yes, tick those 2 boxes. And then if you change anything, okay, and apply. Let's go to format settings. Screen's gonna black out. Alright, now source resolution 1280 by 720 at 60 frames per second. Alright, now what this is when you set 720p on your Xbox, it's of course 720p at 60 frames per second. Now here's another reason you don't want to use 1080i, because that is only at 30 frames per second. And if you make montages or want to do, you know, good slow motion or anything like that, you want 60 frames per second, because it gives you more video to work with. Your slowdowns, there's not as much distortion or anything like that. So 720p at 60 frames per second, you absolutely cannot go wrong with that. The bitrate, depending on your computer and how much memory you have to work with, since I have a total of 3 terabytes of storage that I can use. Not all of it, you know, a lot of it's currently taken up. But if if you're on a laptop and you only have 250 gigs or 500 gigs or something like that, and you don't want to use up all your storage just on video, I recommend you can change the slider down to 10, but I use at 13.5, which is 13,500,000, and that's there's really no reason why you shouldn't be able to do this, but I wouldn't go lower than 8, or else the video starts the quality really starts to degrade. But this is one of the main things of having high quality is 13.5 bit rate at a constant bit rate. Yeah, the file size I believe is a little bit bigger because it's going to be 13.5 like the whole time, but I don't know. Variable bit rate, I just noticed that constant bit rate just looks better, so go with constant bit rate. Boost analog, disable bling LEDs, uncheck luma and chroma at 3, and then use, alright, for 2-channel audio, use AC3. If you use AAC, your video will not have audio, so use AC3, and then apply and OK, and then now your picture comes back. Yay! Alright, now down here I've got it set on PlayStation 3, even though this is clearly Xbox 360, and the reason for that is that Sony Vegas, PlayStation 3 outputs in the M2 TS format, and that works extremely well with Sony Vegas, and the file sizes are smaller and the video quality is a bit better. So really that's the absolute best thing to output as, and it just happens to say PlayStation 3 for whatever reason. I'm not really sure, but PlayStation 3 equals M2 TS, which is what you want. AVC and the Xbox 360 setting. See, AVC is just TS, and then Xbox 360 outputs at MP4, which I believe unless you have a specific plugin in Sony Vegas, MP4 big MP4 files will cause it to crash, I think. I mean that's been my experience in the past. So for better quality and smaller file sizes, which is pretty much exactly what you want, I would go with PlayStation 3. There's no reason to use those at all. And then of course whenever you're ready to capture, just click capture and you're ready to go. And then whenever you're done, click it and you have a video. Now what I use is you can save it to your desktop, but I save it in a file called RAW, which is just I just started a new folder and named it RAW, and then you go over here to the little filey thing and you click that, and that's what all your files will save to. You can save it to wherever you want, but just so my screen doesn't get cluttered up all the time, I save it to a file. Alright, now that we're done with that, we're going to go jump into the we're going to jump into the Sony Vegas part of that. What is Sonyvation? I don't even know. I invented a new word today. Anyways, so we're going to jump into that. We're going to X out of this because I'm recording with Fraps right now, so my computer is probably struggling. Cool background, I know, right? Alright, now opening up Sony Vegas. Alright, here we are. Alright, so first thing we're going to want to do is to set up the video properties. So we're going to go to File and Properties like I just did, and then here's the project properties. Now, you are going to want to match your height and width and your frames per second, which if you recorded with the Hauppauge HD PVR, it's going to be at 720p. It's going to be 720p at 60 frames per second. So you just go down here, HD 720-60p, and then it gives you that. Well, really it's 59.94, but whatever. Anyways, just click that one. And these are the absolute best settings that I've found. Some people do other stuff, but if they do anything other than this, like if it's recorded in 720p, then use non-progressive scan, because P stands for progressive. These upper field and lower field are for interlaced, which is not as good. But if you recorded in 1080i for some reason, you're going to want to use, I believe, upper field first, or whichever. I don't. It's looks pretty bad either way you slice it. So record in 720p progressive scan, pixel aspect ratio 1.0 square, because the computer and the internet see a pixel as a square. So use friggin' square. I know other stuff, it's 1080, you know, that's at blah blah blah. But honestly, 1080 or 1.0 squared, that's if you record in 1080 or 720p square. Anyways, and then frame rate 59.94, which is basically 60 frames per second. Let's see, and the reason why is that you recorded at 60 frames at 720p, 60 frames per second, so that's what you want it to be. You know, you want to match it up as closely as you can. Let's see, pixel format, 32-bit floating point, full range, compositing gamma, 2.22 video, 2.222 video. There we go. This is mainly color. If you use 8-bit, the file sizes are going to be smaller, but you're going to have to add more color correction, which because the video is going to have kind of like a gray film over. Hang on, let me after I do that, it's going to have kind of what looks like a gray film over it because the colors aren't quite there, but it's going to require more color correction. So that's going to increase render time and file size. If you use 32-bit, it's going to have more color, and you use less color correction, but at the same time, file size is going to be a little bit bigger. You know, either way you cut it. If you want your video to look good with less work, 32-bit. If you don't care about color correction or anything like that, you can go with 8-bit. It's gonna, you know, it still looks decent, but you know, it's not quite all that sexy. Let's be honest. Anyways, full resolution rendering quality best, of course. Motion blur type Gaussian. I've done my research, and I do not believe any of those make any difference. All right, now deinterlace method. If you do progressive, you can do none. But for some reason, if you click interpolate fields, it makes, for whatever reason, it looks better. I have no idea how that works, but it just does. So go with it. Alright, now these two boxes, adjust media to project media, render, blah, blah, don't worry about that because we are matching the settings manually, so don't worry about that box. Let's see, and then start on a project with these settings, you know, if that's what you want to do, alright, and then all of you only have to do this once. It will start with these settings, apply, okay. Alright, now that we have Sony Vegas just chilling here, we need to go find our video. So, I'm going to go to Explorer, and actually, hang on. I'm going to make that smaller, I'm going to go find, where's the first part of our video? No, where are you? Ah, oh well. Anyways, I'm not entirely sure where the... whatever. Anyways, now we're going to go snag some video. So I'm going to go up here to Raw. And I'm going to just grab one of these. Anyways, just click on something, add to project media list. We're going to project media, and here's the video. Yay, video. Alright, now we're going to drop it down in the timeline, and Shazam. Alright, so obviously we're not going to use all of this, so I'm actually going to use this later in a video. So we're just going to go right here. And you can do one of two things. If you want to just cut out a clip, you can click on that, and you can either hit S and it separates it, or you can come down here to the very end and drag it and make it all disappear, and then you're left with that. But whenever you hey, let's undo that. Alright. Oh wait, maybe do it one more time. Alright, there we go. Alright, so now that we've got it back, another way to do it, after you click S or hit S to separate it, just right click and hit delete, and there it goes. And then here's our little clippity clip. Alright, so now that we have this, here's what we're going to do. We're going to take the slider right here, and this is important, all the way at the beginning. Alright? First thing we're going to do is we're going to click pan and crop, and you're going to adjust these sliders until the little black box... Oh, actually, this is a terrible place to view it. Hang on a second. Alright, I'm going to show you what we're going to do. We're going to... Alright, right here, where you can see little black lines. Alright, now normally the PVR, you're going to have black lines at the top and on the right-hand side. Now, just go where you can see it and then adjust it to where everything goes away. And that, I'm not going to sit here and do that. So, anyways, whenever you find, wherever all the lines go away, make a preset. Mine is HD, oddly enough. And then, so take the slider, go back to the beginning. That's why this is important, because that's, you know, whenever you change that, it starts at the point of where the slider was. So make sure if you want to do the entire video that same way, then make sure the slider is all the way to the left hand side, and then go click your preset, and look, everything's all nice and no black lines or anything like that. Alright, so now let's find a good place. Find some blurriness. Blurry. Anyways, alright, what you're going to want to do, I know some people don't use it, like even big channels don't do this, and it really sucks, because this is one of those key things, basics that everyone should do. Here we go. Alright, and now you're going to want to right click on your video, go to properties, disable resample, reduce interlace flicker, okay. And now that takes away that annoying motion blur that everything has. Now this is not the same blur as the sexy Real Smart motion blur that I use, but I will get to that here in a second. But yeah, anyways, it takes away the annoying motion blur. Like, everything has this weird kind of mirrored blur. I don't know why Sony Vegas does it, but that's how you get rid of it. And we're going to go up to, let's see, whenever you have that done, or whenever you really import media, go to File, Save, up here, save it, you know, Durka, whatever. I'm going to cancel it because I'm not going to save it. But yeah, whenever you have your clip, another thing, alright, and this is going to be kind of weird, but or you might not understand this right off the bat, but the way the PVR captures is with an analog signal. Those color-coded cables, that's an analog signal. And now it's not, HDMI is a digital signal, and there are devices out there that capture with HDMI, which is a nice, sharp, clean digital signal. But in order to get something close to that with analog, because it's not quite as sharp. There's still just a little bit of, not quite haziness, but everything is still kind of like feathered a little bit. It's not quite what it could be. So I'm going to go to Video Effects. I'm going to show you some basic color corrections. Go down here to Sharpen. And now I've noticed over time you can start with as little as Reset to None, which is just a teeny tiny tad. And then up to, you know, light, medium, heavy. You just adjust it to where you think it looks good. I use 0.3, 0.300, or you do 0.3, whatever, on nearly everything. And now another tip, if you want to just add a color correction to a clip, you drag it right down onto the clip. If you want to add it to, if you have a series of clips and you just want to universally just add it to everything, you drop it down onto the gray unused part of the track, of the video track, not the soundtrack, but the video track. Well, we'll only let you drop it here, or on this little bit over here, and it adds, you know, that little bit. And see, now it is much sharper. And now another thing I use, go to Saturation Adjust, and you guys can go ahead and copy this, but I bring it down, add it to the entire track, and all the colors just bam, it makes everything look so awesome. And I use this for nearly every game. Depending on the game and the map, you might have to adjust it a little bit, but you can go ahead and pause the video and copy these settings down. Now this is not some exact formula that I'm like, oh well, if I go and put this in, it'll look this way and blah blah blah. I just kind of move these sliders around until I found something that looked nice, and then I saved it as a preset called Polo. Ta-da! You can save it as whatever you want, because more than likely you're gonna have to adjust it every video, but not too much. And then make a preset of it, so all you have to do is drag it down, no big deal, and you're ready to go. And if I wasn't going to add motion blur, which I'll get to in the advanced portion of the video, you know, I would go ahead and render this. For me, it only take a couple of minutes. But anyways, now for the render settings. Now I know a lot of you guys are like, oh, just one of the render settings, but it's the entire process. You have to get the entire process right in order for your end result to be the best it can be. So, you know, your capture settings have to be good, your project settings have to be good, your color correction have to be good, and also good render settings. It's not just render settings, and a lot of people get that confused. But now that we are ready to render, well, okay, hang on, let me back up a little bit. If you have commentary, depending on live or pre-recorded commentary, You know, you're gonna bring it in here. You're gonna drag it down to this line, and a lot of people don't do this. I mean, not saying that's a lie. Some people forget to do this. Newer people don't do this, but here's a heads up. You're gonna want to bring your game volume down between 20 and 30, something like that. It's just whatever sounds good. You're gonna want to adjust the game volume way down, and then whatever your commentary volume is, you know, it might be you can just adjust it higher or lower until you hear your voice more than the you know, it's clearly louder than the game audio, and you know, just something that sounds good to you. So it takes a little, you know, you can pretty much get down to where you have it memorized, but you know, trial and error. You know, upload some private or unlisted videos to YouTube if you can't, you know, because a lot of times if you hit play in here in Sony Vegas, it doesn't exactly, it chops it up, like you only see every few frames because, you know, of like a slower computer. But in order to really hear all the audio, you know, just render a small little sample. I'm going to show you how to do that. But let's see, we're going to go to render. If you just want to render a little sample, here we go. Just bring out this little slider. Hang on. Come on, slider. What are you doing? You know, just, yeah, here we go. Just click anywhere and drag, and then you're going to see you've got this little blue area right here. Go to File, Render As, and if you just want to render that little highlighted blue area, hit Render Loop Region Only, and it will only render that small bit. So then you can take that little sample. You know, it can be, you know, anything more than 5 to 10 seconds. You don't need anything more than that. But render that, upload it to YouTube as private or unlisted. Check it out, make sure it's what you want. So then you don't have to do a whole bunch of, you know, you don't have to like have 10 videos. Your subscribers are like, what the heck are you doing? But yeah, anyways, now we're gonna do render settings. All right, here we go. All right, save as type Sony AVC MP4. I know a lot of people use main concept AVC/AAC, but that is not optimized for uploading to the internet or interwebs, whatever you want to call it. So I would go down here to Sony AVC MP4 M2TS blah blah blah. Anyways, and then you're gonna want to just click any one of these internet ones, because we're gonna be making our own. So whenever you click on one, we're gonna go over here to custom, and hang on, mine decides to be slow sometimes. Wait for it. Here we go. All right. Video format AVC, frame size, you know, pretty straightforward. Either high definition 720 or 1280 by 720, or a high definition 1920 by 1280. It's of course it's going to be progressive, so it's going to be 720p. Profile main, I believe that's, yeah, I believe the default is baseline, but you're going to want to change it to main. Entropy coding, this is the CAV-LC is the default one. We're going to want to change it to CAB-AC, whatever. All right, frame rate, and I know I've been talking about 60 frames per second, but whenever you're editing, that's the only time you need 60 frames per second. Whenever you can render a video as 60 frames, but your file size is going to be a lot bigger, and it's going to take a lot longer to render, and YouTube will it's going to take, I believe it takes longer to process too, because YouTube will cut it down to we'll cut it down to 30 frames or 29.97 frames per second anyway. So go ahead and render it that way. Your video quality is not going to be affected at all. You know, as far as uploading to YouTube goes, and your file size is going to be smaller. Uploading is going to be faster, and you know, it'll make you happier. Anyways, one huge thing you do not want to check: do not click this button. You're going to want to leave it unchecked. Allow source to adjust frame rate. Whenever you do that, it will be, for whatever reason, it will be half of what this is. So it's going to take your 30 frames and knock it down to 15 if you do that. I have no idea why it does that, but don't click it. Field order, of course, non-progressive scan. Pixel aspect ratio, as I talked about, the internet and computers and stuff see a pixel as a square, so you're going to want to do it as 1. And now bitrate. Alright, the first time I mentioned bitrate was back in the PVR settings, and it's 13.5. Now you can go and type in 13.5 right here, or hang on. let's see, 13, comma, and then 500, comma 500. All right. Now this is the equivalent of 13.5 bit rate for. Oh no, come back. Anyways, this is the equivalent of 13.5 from the PVR, but I render at 15 million because another one of those weird things. I don't know. It just gives it that little bit of an edge. The file size is a little bit bigger, but it's what I do and it works for me and I like it. So you can change it to 13.5. A lot of people will say it doesn't make a difference, but I don't know. It just it works for me. It's what I do. And then code mode. Let's see. It's automatic. Just go with automatic. Audio. In order to get full stereo, you're gonna want to change bitrate to 192 or 192,000. And then of course audio format AAC. It's your only option. Sample rate 48,000. Audio encoding stereo. Or 5.1, depending on how you recorded it. Format, of course, MP4, because YouTube uploads MP4 a lot faster, and it's how you get the best looking video on YouTube is MP4. So YouTube absolutely loves MP4. So I'm not saying don't listen to anyone else, but honestly, that's the best results that I've gotten, best results I've seen. There are other video formats. Some people will tell you AVI, and that's the video format you get if you capture PC gameplay with fraps or something like that. But even though it looks amazing, whenever you give it to YouTube codecs are kind of retarded. So it likes MP4 better. So yeah, and then video render quality, either best or use project settings, whichever one. I don't know why I always have it on use project settings, but yeah, since you entered everything manually, use project settings is going to be all right. But if you're another one of those superstition things, if you want to set it to best, go ahead. But it honestly doesn't make that big of a difference. All right, then click OK. Now you are ready to render. So then you just name it something snazzy, and then save, and it'll appear on your desktop as a nicely rendered video. And then you upload it to YouTube, and everyone likes it and comments it and favorites it and stuff. So I hope you guys enjoyed part 1 of this video. If you want to go check out part 2, make sure to check the description for the Yaus link. And yeah, please like this video or favorite or whatever if it helped you out. Whatever, because it helps me out most definitely. If you have any questions, please ask me on Twitter, Yaus, YouTube. Whatever's easier for you is easier for me. So until next time, guys, please check out part 2. Peace!